Good morning, students. Let us start the ITC class. In the last class, we had worked out one exercise on Huffman coding. And please recall the 5 properties of the codes. And all these 5 properties have been fulfilled in the Huffman coding. Even the procedure was very simple. We had finally calculated the efficiency, redundancy, and variance. And we had 2 types of codes. And we had measured the variance of each code. Whichever is having a lesser variance is found to be the better code. Now we also had an example of a ternary code and a quaternary code in our earlier Shannon-Fano coding as well. How to perform ternary and quaternary coding using Huffman, that is also possible. But here the problem is we should have the number of symbols which are in the power of 2, because we are going to assign 0 and 1 distinctly for each code, each symbol. So for that matter, we should have exact division, and that division has to be as per the power of 2, which means we will have to add some dummy symbols. Actually, we are combining 2 symbols together and we are going to allocate zeros and ones, initially moving from left to right, then we come back from right to left. But with the Huffman code, we have the problem is that we should have exact number there. So if the number of symbols given are not in the power of 2, we will have to add some dummy symbols. But these dummy symbols, when the probability is not given, what to do with them? What we do is we simply give the probability as 0 for the dummy symbols. At the end, even if we get a Huffman code, we will discard that particular code. So this is an interesting procedure. Let us see that procedure now. For ternary and quaternary Huffman coding, we should have 3 and 4 composite symbols at the end respectively. Just like in binary, we used to allocate only 0 and 1. Now in ternary, we will allocate 0, 1 and 2. In quaternary, we will allocate 0, 1, 2 and 3. So naturally, we should have those many composite symbols. But if the number of source symbols are in disparity with the number of alphabets in the code, then we may not obtain 3 and 4 respective symbols at the end. Please understand this. If the number of source symbols are in disparity with the number of alphabets in the code, number of alphabets here is 0, 1 in case of binary code, 0, 1, 2 in case of ternary code, 0, 1, 2, 3 in the case of quaternary code. That is the number of alphabets. If the number of source symbols are in disparity, then we may not obtain 3 and 4 respective symbols at the end. Because finally we should get only those many symbols at the right side, isn't it? We may not get it. Hence, to avoid such disparity, dummy source symbols are included at the end with 0 probability. These dummy symbols are discarded after the encoding is over. We are using them as dummy. For example, let us say ABC is given. We can add one more D, one more E, one more F. That way we can go on. For all probabilities, we will simply put 0. When we complete the encoding, we will still get codes for those dummy symbols as well. But we don't use them at all. We can simply discard that coding number. So these dummy symbols are discarded after the encoding is over. Now, how to decide about how many dummy symbols we should include? The number of dummy symbols to be added is decided based on the equation Q equals R plus R minus 1 into alpha. We don't have the derivation for this equation, just remember this equation, where Q equals number of source symbols, R equals number of alphabets in the code, alpha is an integer which has to be obtained. For example, let us say we have 4 symbols in the source and we are using binary, imagine, then Q is 4, R is 2. Now we have to have this equation satisfied. For satisfying this equation, we will have to compute the number alpha. So alpha is an integer which is to be obtained. Now if you simplify this equation and if you want to have alpha at the left hand side, alpha equals Q minus R divided by R minus 1. Please remember this formula. We are going to use this formula in our exercise now. alpha equals q minus r divided by r minus 1 should be an integer. Now let us see an exercise. Apply Huffman's encoding procedure to the following message ensemble using the binary encoding. What is meant by ensemble? We also call it as message ensemble. Ensemble is a collection of symbols. So to the following message ensemble using the binary encoding, determine its efficiency and redundancy, draw the decision tree and decode the message. There is a lengthy message given. Now we will have to apply Huffman's encoding procedure for this message. And it is given as M1 is having 1/3 probability, same way till M6. Let us see how to solve this particular exercise. Initially, we have to arrange these messages in the decreasing order. So, as it is given, it is already given in the order, decreasing order. So, let us see M1 till M6, it is in the decreasing order. First, let us club M5 and M6 and then it will become 112. Let us go for the lower side approach instead of the higher side approach. We have two approaches now. We can arrange this either on the upper side or the lower side. Here I am following the lower side approach only. So now M5, M6 are clubbed. I have 1/12. Again M4 and 1/12 are clubbed. It is 1/6. Again M3 and 1/6 are clubbed. We have 1/3. Again M2 and 1/3 are clubbed. Again we have 2/3. Now this 1/3 plus 1/3 is 2/3. It has to naturally go upside. And this 1/3 comes down. Let us allocate 0, 1 here. Now from 2/3 we will again allocate 0, 1. That way let us proceed. This procedure we have already seen in the last exercise. So finally we get this particular code. For M1 we get 1. For M2 we get 0, 0. For M3 we get 0, 1, 0. For M4 we get 0, 1, 1, 0. For M5 we get 0, 1, 1, 1, 0. And M6 we get 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now what is asked here? There is a message ensemble given. There is a big message given. This message has to be decoded at the receiver. Let us see how is it done. First let us calculate the efficiency. Entropy is calculated as such. It is 2.1682 bits per symbol. I had told you already in the last class that whenever write this B/S, take it as bits per symbol. Otherwise, for bits per second, I am going to directly write BPS. So here HFS is 2.1682 bits per symbol. Let us find out the average number of alphabets or average information content per symbol. That is L equals 1 by 1 3 plus 2 by 1 3. This is already known, summation of I equals 1 to n, that formula Ni into Pi. So finally we get efficiency as 2.1682 divided to 2.25 is 96.36%. Now we can write a decision tree for the given code. You can see this decision tree. Yes. From yes, let us start with 1 and 0. 1 is M1. Next it is 0, 0, M2. 0, 1, 0, M3. 0, 1, 1, 0, M4. 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, M5. 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, M6. This way, each code is uniquely decodable. Each code is instantaneous. Now, using this decision tree, we will have to decode the given big message. Now, this message can be decoded. You can see here the message 0, 0 is present as M2. Now, immediately 0, 0 is decoded. Single 0 is anyhow not there. Next, after 0, 0, we have 0, 1, 1, 0. 0, 1, 1, 0 is M4. Next one, we have only 1. That 1 is M1. Next, we have again 0, 1, 0. 0, 1, 0 is M3. Then we have 0, 1, 1, 1, 0. 0, 1, 1, 1, 0 is M5. Lastly, we have 1. That 1 is M1. Now, this message at the receiver is decoded as M2, M4, M1, M3, M5, M1. So, even in the test or in the exam, if such message is given, you will have to be able to write this decision tree, and using the decision tree, you will have to be able to decode the given message. Let us see the next example wherein we will have binary as well as ternary codes. Consider a source with 8 alphabets A to H with respective probabilities of 0.22, 0.20, 0.18, 0.15, 0.10, 0.08, 0.05, 0.02. It is given already in the decreasing order. So our job is simple. Otherwise, you will have to arrange it in the decreasing order. Now it is asked to construct a binary compact code and determine its efficiency. It is also asked to construct a ternary compact code and determine its efficiency. Let us try to solve this. First, let us see the binary code and let us go for an approach of as high as possible. We already have two approaches. One is as high as possible and as low as possible. It is not asked that we should have two distinct binary codes. So we can simply go for an approach of as high as possible. Now, I have arranged these symbols as A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Let me reduce the zoom ratio slightly. Yeah, you are able to see now. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and it is in the decreasing order. We will have to combine the two last symbols into a composite one, that is 0.07. 0.07 is lesser than 0.08, so it comes at the downside. Now again we join 0.08 plus 0.07, it becomes 0.15. We are going for the approach of as high as possible. So let us keep it here at the top side above this 0.15. Again we will join this 0.15 and 0.10. It is again 0.25. It has to naturally go to the top because the highest probability of A is 0.22. This composite symbol has to go to the top. Now again we will join this 0.18 and 0.15. We get 0.33. It will go to the top. 0.22 and 0.20 is 0.42. That will go to the top. 0.33 and 0.25 is 0.58. That will go to the top. Now 0.58 and 0.42 are arranged here. We will give this. We will allocate the code as 0 and 1. Now moving from right side to left side, we can gradually have the same approach of allocating 0 and 0 and 1 and 0, 1. Finally, we have this particular coding. A is 1, 0, B is 1, 1, C is 0, 0, 0, D is 0, 1, 0, E is 0, 1, 1, F is 0, 0, 1, 0, G is 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and H is 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. Now, what I want you to do is quickly calculate the efficiency. I will give you 3 minutes. Quickly calculate the efficiency by computing the entropy and computing the L. Compute HFS on your own, compute L on your own, and tell me the efficiency. Let me show you the probabilities once again. Quickly note down. Let me see who are all there. Manideep is there. Chandramohan is there. Yes, Indrajit is there. Kuldeep is there. And specifically telling them Vanilla is there. At least I feel these 5 students will respond to my query immediately. Other students will be simply listening. Note down the probability urgently. Then I will show you the codes also later on. Okay, if you have noted down the probability, I will simply slightly zoom this. Yeah. Now you can see this. You can see the probability also, you can see the codes also. Quickly compute H of S, quickly compute L, and tell me the efficiency. Put the answer in the chat box. You already know the formula for L is summation of I equals 1 to n of Ni into Pi. Apply that formula and tell me the answer. Okay, I have h of s as 2.75. Fine. H of s is 2.75. What about L? Yes, h of s is 2.7535. Correct. Okay, Anjali, Chandramohan, Manideep, Grishma. Good. 4 students have given me correct answer. Harshita. Good. Kuldeep. Good. So efficiency is 98%. Let us see the efficiency. L we get it as 2.8 bits per symbol. You can write it as bits also, or you can write it as binary units also. In short form it is called as bits. So L is 2.8 bits per symbol. Finally we get efficiency as 98.34%. That is 2.7535 by 2.8. That is 98.34%. Indrajit has given the answer. Good. Now let us see how to go for the ternary code. Okay, excellent. Anjali also has given the answer. I am happy that apart from the students whom I mentioned, even other students are putting their efforts and giving correct answer. Let me now zoom a little and let me show you the example of ternary code now. Now in the case of a ternary code, we should use this formula of alpha equals q minus r by r minus 1 because we will have to add the dummy symbols now. So q minus r by r minus 1, q is given as 8 and r is 3. For a ternary code, r is 3. For a binary code, r is 2. For a binary code, we don't have to apply dummy symbols. Why? The reason is, in case of a binary code, anyhow we are going to allocate 0 and 1 there. Now in a ternary code, let us find out 8 minus 3 by 3 minus 1 equals 5 by 2 equals 2.5. But alpha has to be an integer. Let us go for the upper side only. Let us not go for the lower side. If there are additional dummy symbols, we will have no problem. But if there are lesser number of dummy symbols, we will have further problem. As alpha is not an integer, we have to add dummy symbols with pi equals 0. If q equals 9, then alpha equals 9 minus 3 by 2, that is equals 3. That means one dummy symbol has to be added now. See, alpha is, now we are getting 2.5. Let us take it as 3. So, alpha equals 9 minus 3 by 2, let it be 3. Now we already have 0 and 1, right? We already have now, here it is now 9. We already have totally 8, right? In the example, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Now if alpha has to be an integer, here q has to be 9. I hope you understood this. Alpha equals q minus r by r minus 1. Here we are getting 2.5. But we want to have integer. If it has to be integer, now we have to increase q here. If you have to increase q, let us make it as 9. So 9 minus 3 by 2 is 3. Now alpha became an integer. So alpha became an integer, but we were given 8 symbols. We will have to add one more symbol so that q will become 9. So for getting a ternary code, we will have to add only one extra dummy symbol. You will have to work it out in your own way here. Whenever you get alpha as a fraction, you will have to go for increasing the q in such a way that you will get alpha as integer. There you will have to take care. Now let us add one more dummy symbol as I, because we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. We can add one more dummy symbol I and we can give the probability 0 there, because anyhow that symbol is not there in our source. Now let us arrange this. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, high. So I is given the probability 0, H is given 0.02, this we already know. Now look at this procedure. For getting a composite symbol, we are combining 3 now. In our binary code, for getting a composite symbol, we were combining 2 symbols. Here we will have to combine 3 symbols. Please remember this. Now we will add 0.05 plus 0.02 plus 0, we get 0.07. Now again 0.10, 0.08, 0.07, we will get 0.25, it has to go to the top. 0.20, 0.18, 0.15, it is 0.53, it has to go to the top. Finally, we are left with only 3 at the end. We will directly allocate 0, 1, 2. Now we know that this 0.25 and 0.22 are actually part here, right? 0.22 is already there as A, right? Now 0.5 is again composite and 0.25 is composite here. Again that is a composite here. We will have to move from right to left now. 0.53 when we move from right to left, we will allocate again 0, 1, 2. 0.25 when we move right to left, we will have 0, 1, 2. Actually, I should have put one arrow mark here. I missed out one arrow mark from 0.25 to 0.25 here. Anyway, when you read these notes, visualize that particular arrow mark between 0.25 to 0.25. Now we will go backwards in the same fashion. We will reach up to GHI. And when we complete our encoding, we get the code like this. 2, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2. Now this last code 1, 2, 2 is of no use to us because it is a dummy symbol. We can take this 2 till 1 to 1, A till H as our encoded output. Now here we are going to find out L3 means the average information content per symbol in the transmitted sequence with the ternary code. That is 1 into 0.22 plus 2 into 0.20 plus 2 into 0.18, that way it goes on. Lastly, anyhow it is 3 into 0. Whether you add I or whether you do not add I, it does not matter much. Anyhow its probability is 0. That way we find L3 as 1.85 trinits per symbol. You can find out the trinits. It is ternary units called as trinits. Trinits per symbol. We have to find out efficiency. We have to find out efficiency in terms of H3 of S. This type of computation I had shown you even in the earlier examples. Because it's a ternary code, we will have to compute H3 of S, that is 2.7535 divided by 1.585 divided by 1.85, we get 93.9%. This last exercise I want you to try out on your own. I will give you a few more minutes. Construct a binary compact code. Compact code means Huffman code only. For the given source and comment on the result obtained. Look at these symbols given S0, S1, S2, S3, S4, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, 0.125, 0.125. Go for the as slow as possible approach so that my answer and your answer will match later on. Go for the as slow as possible approach and you tell me the answer, put the answer in the chat box for the codes S0, S1, S2, S3, S4. I'll give you 3 minutes. Manideep has given the answer, but for S0, it will not come these many bits. In fact, for the topmost symbol, we will get either 0 or 1. We will not get a combination of 0 and 1. We will not get such a big code there. You remember the property of information. Least is the probability, more is the information. That way, least the probability, that will get the bigger code. Okay, Manideep has put spaces there. I did not observe that. Fine, fine. 101100010011. Fine. 3 students have given the answer now. Let me show the answer. After arranging this way, composite symbols, it is correct. 101100010011. Good effort by the students. Now this is the code. But in the exercise, what he has asked, after encoding, comment on the result obtained. What is the comment? Let us see H of S. Entropy is 2.25 bits per symbol. Let us compute L. L is 2.25 minutes per symbol. So we get efficiency as 100%. That is why it is asked comment. When efficiency is 100%, what does it mean? The comment is, as all the symbol probabilities are in the negative power of 2, the efficiency has become 100%. Otherwise, how efficiency can be 100%? Let me go back and show you the probabilities. Look at the probabilities. 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, 0.125, 0.125. The probabilities are in the binaries exponents. Means, what is 0.25? 2 power minus 2. What is 0.125? 2 power minus 3. So, if the symbol probabilities are in the power of binary exponent itself, then there are chances that we will arrive at a code which is going to have 100% efficiency. That is the specialty of this particular information source. That is why it was asked that comment on the exercise. Okay, with this I have ended module 2. Now let me start module 3. Before that, let me show you a slide. Let me see whether I have a slide. Just a minute. Okay, you are seeing a slide now. Even though it seems funny as of now, I am showing you just to have some humor in the class as well. This is an amazing sentence in English. I do not know where family doctors acquired illegibly perplexing handwriting, nevertheless, extraordinary pharmaceutical intellectuality, counterbalancing, indecipherability, transcendentalizes, intercommunications, incomprehensibleness. This is a very lengthy sentence. What is specialty about the sentence is, The person who made this sentence must be a vocabulary genius. The reason is, this is the sentence where the first word is 1 letter long, the second word is 2 letters, the third word is 3 letter long, the eighth word is 8 letters long, and so on. The 20th letter is 20 letters long. Now you can see why I am discussing such sentences in the information theory. Because such sentences, do they carry information? The more complex the sentence is, it carries more information. Does it mean that way? This is a complicated sentence. If at all, let us say I say, I do not know, that carries less information. Let us say I say, I do not know where family doctors acquired, then that carries more information. Let us say I say, I do not know where family doctors acquired illegibly perplexing handwriting, then it carries more information. But the sentence continues. If at all we make an effort to encode this particular big lengthy English message. Now this is an English sentence, one single sentence. If we will encode this English sentence into a binary sequence or a ternary sequence or a quaternary sequence, and then we send information, we should say that that particular sequence contains much large amount of information. Just to add a humor as well as to add some value, I showed you this slide. I'll show you the next slide now. Next slide is still more funny or humorous. Just go through this slide. Sorry, I am unable to see that upper portion because this WebEx screen is there. I hope you are able to read that. Now I can read it. I could not believe that I could actually understand what I was reading. The phenomenal power of the human mind, according to a research team at Cambridge University, is that it doesn't matter in what order the letters in a word are. The only important thing is that the first and last letter be in the right place. The rest can be a total mess and you can still read it without a problem. This is because the human mind does not read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole. Such a condition is appropriately called typoglycemia. Amazing, huh? And you always thought that spelling was important? I could read this complete slide. How? Because the first alphabet and the last alphabet, if they are there intact, in between, if there is a word there, just by looking at these other alphabets, we can easily find out which this word is. When we find out which this word is, we can understand the sentence as well. Just say, I could not believe. On the top, it is there. Below, the phenomenal power of the human mind, it is there. Lastly, this is because the human mind does not read every letter by itself, is there. Which means, even if the information is garbled, it is possible that even when the information is garbled, it is possible to extract the information from the garbled message, provided there is a human intelligence involved. Now, I will go a little step further. I will say that even when there is no human mind involved, it is possible to extract information from a garbled message. Now, I want you to answer this particular question. Put it in the chat box. How is it possible that even when the information is garbled, it is possible to extract the information from the garbled message without the help of the human mind? Those who have understood my question, put the answer in the chat box. I hope you understood my question. I could read this paragraph even though it was jumbled. I could understand the meaning even though it was jumbled, provided the first alphabet and the next alphabet are in place. I can assume the word as such because of my proficiency in English, isn't it? Same way, now I am telling you, because I am a human being, even from a garbled or jumbled word, I can extract the information. Now, even without a human being involved, it is possible to extract the information from a jumbled or garbled message. How is it possible? Kuldeep says probability of occurring of symbol. That is fine. That is fine. Using probability only we are going to find out the entropy and the L and all those things. That is fine. My question is not that. My question is, let us say this message is given or message is transmitted which is garbled and jumbled, and let us say at the other end there is no human being. Now to extract information from this message, a human being is required. My question is, even if there is no human being, it is possible to extract the information. How is it possible is my question. You will have to think from the latest perspective of technology, whatever is happening, the technical domain in the last 1 decade. And these wordings are quite popular nowadays. It is possible by means of a particular concept, which is basically 2 words. Cryptography. No, cryptography is not that. Cryptography is making a message cryptic. Means cryptography is making a message secret so that no one else will decode it. Only the people who have that cryptographic algorithm, only they will be able to decode it. This is not cryptography. This is still information theory. Cryptography is one usage of information theory later on. Not that. Any other answer? No, the answer is artificial intelligence or machine learning. That is the answer. Now, a human being's intelligence, if it can be artificially stored in a machine, and if the machine can keep learning, just like a human being is learning English, even a machine can be trained to learn English. So, if a machine can learn English, this particular paragraph, even the machine can understand. That is what is the present domain where AI and ML are becoming more and more popular. That is because the life is going to be more and more automated, and in future, if at all you go to a restaurant, you may not find any human waiters. You may find only machines moving around. You are already familiar with the robo which Japanese had designed, Asimo, and you might already see the mechanical horses which are developed in one university in the USA. They have developed horses, real looking horses, where our horses can climb, jump, they can sit and stand. Even if a horse is kicked, it can stand up on its own. And they have been trying all these things. This is basically machine learning application. So in future, maybe 20 or 30 years from now, we may see more and more machines moving, even in bus stops or even in railway stations or even in airports or even in restaurants. I hope that machines will not replace we professors. That is what I feel. Otherwise, we all lose our jobs. Let us say instead of Arvinda sir giving a lecture to you, let us say a machine gives a lecture in information theory, then it will be a machine professor instead of a human professor. I hope such day may not come. That is our sincere feeling. Anyway, with this particular slide, I am going to stop the class now. In the next class, I will start with the actual content of the 3rd module. Until then, take care and goodbye.